Before we begin, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Melissa Fanning, and I'm the Morph Support Worker here at the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center. And tonight I'll be acting as a technical host with my coworker, Emily Fyander, who's also a member of our support team here. My role this evening will be to bring up reports and, if needed, turn off and on cameras and mics on the Zoom platform and manage the Zoom chat.
Hi, I'm Emily Fyander. I'm support worker. All participants on Zoom are asked to mute and turn off your camera unless you're presenting a report. This will help avoid any background noise. This AGM is being recorded and live streamed through Facebook. If you have any technical difficulties, please reach out to me. You can reach me at the number in the chat there. It's 902-921-4647. And I will now turn it over to Devin.
Thanks, Melissa and Emily. Hi, I'm Devin Green. I'm the board chair of the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center. Thank you for joining our 46th annual AGM. And this is our third virtual annual general meeting. Our AGM serves the purpose of reporting to our stakeholders, including community, funders, our staff, and our board. We treasure the opportunity to share with you and celebrate the year as we look ahead to our future as the oldest women's center in Nova Scotia. Special thanks tonight for our support workers and technical hosts, Melissa Fanning and Emily Fyander. We will do our best to answer any questions, and we'll follow up with any that require any further information. Like all AGMs, we will have a series of reports and presentations to be presented, followed by an opportunity to ask questions and then motions to accept each of these reports. We ask that you use the chat function if you have any questions or comments, as well as to move and to second our motions tonight. For the ease of voting, we will be adapting the process that Zoom AGM members will be asked to note in the chat any questions about motions, and only if they are opposed. Otherwise, with a first and a second, each motion will carry. So the chat just keeps it easy to keep track of all of that information. So thank you all for coming tonight and welcome. We welcome all board members of the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center, all staff members, guests, and community. I want to acknowledge that we are on Mi'kma'ki, the unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kma'ki people. For 15,000 years before the earliest European settlers arrived, this land was stewarded with care and great skill by the Mi'kmaq people. Long before the earliest European settlers, Mi'kma'ki people had commerce, economies, travel, permanency, stewardship, inheritances, artistry, drama, ceremony, ritual, healthcare, politics, justice systems, peacekeeping, and astronomy, and they still do. We further acknowledge the history and impacts of enslavement and colonialism around the globe here in Nova Scotia and in Pictou County. We recognize the ongoing harm of racism perpetuated by people and systems. We stand in solidarity with all of those facing inequality and will continue to work together towards justice and equality. To the rest of the board, I invite you to turn on your cameras and just give a wave. You can see everybody's faces. Thanks, everyone. And to all of our guests, you can refer to your AGM packages that were sent out by email. And Melissa, can you please start our AGM presentation? Excellent. So our first order of business is to review and approve our agenda for tonight. So again, all motions, members, we're gonna carry out our motions and our seconds for motions on the chat, as well as any disagreements, just to make it easy. And if there are no disagreements, then the motion will be moved. So are there any revisions to the agenda? Any questions?
I'd like to draw your attention to the the chat. Maxine said, I so move. Shelley replied, I second.
Okay, great, thank you. So motion carried for the acceptance of the agenda. And now we'll look at our minutes from the 45th annual AGM. So if there are any questions, amendments, revisions, and if not, then we can have a motion to approve.
Jill has added to the chat, I so move.
Great, thanks, Jill.
Maxine has also added to the chat, I motion to approve, and Jocelyn added that she seconds.
Okay, great, thank you. All right. And our mission and mandate. Okay. So mandate and mission for the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center. We offer and support advocacy to individual women, unites women, community, and government to achieve equality. As feminists, we commit to justice and equality for all people. Ultimately, this means freedom from oppression and affirms women's rights to the dignity and autonomy. We are here to support all women. We believe in freedom of choice and see women as experts in their own lives. Our vision is a world of justice, equality, and peace for all people. We see an end to misogyny, racism, poverty, classism, ageism, and other forms of oppression. And we see a society where there is self-determination, both individually and collectively. And next, our treasurer will present our financials. So Jill, over to you.
I'm so sorry, I did not know I was presenting financials this evening.
If you can just introduce Heather.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been really busy, as you know. I'm sorry, I'll introduce Heather.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and hopefully this will go rather smoothly. So I'm hoping you're seeing the financial statements for period ending or for the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Service Center Society. So these are for March 31st, 2022. I will go through these as brief as possible. And as pointed out earlier, I'll go through the presentation. And if there's any questions, I can certainly stop and pause at the end. So we did prepare a review engagement report, which means that we are providing a limited level of assurance. And we did find that there was nothing that was outside of the scope of the appropriate accounting standards. So essentially everything was fine. We do have to point out, however, we did not prepare the comparative information as it was done by another firm. The next page is the statement of revenues and expenditures for the period ending March 31st. And of course, the comparative information is also provided. The revenues generated were just around 323,000, and in the prior year was just around the 300,000 mark. There's a couple of course changes in the makeup of that revenue, and this usually stems from access to certain program funding. There was, of course, some additional support that was provided by the Nova Scotia Advisory Council on the Status of Women, that they were providing centres with additional support around COVID, just to ensure the financial viability of all of the centres in the province. The expenditures were just around 315,000. And of course, as one would expect, most of those were spent in wages to carry out the various programs and administration of the center. The makeup of the other expenditures are fairly consistent in terms of administrative in nature. There is always fluctuations for this type of organization on some of the costs when there's certain programs that are being carried out. So quite frequently, you'll see things like training, for example, this year where there's an increase in expenditures, but that relates to the type of funding that was received. So the overall result was a surplus that was generated just around 8,500 this year. The next page, the statement of changes in net assets, reports on the accumulated effect of the organization. You are maintaining an operating fund, which reports on the income that's reported on the previous page. This year, you struck a new fund for an internally restricted fund to set aside some of the surpluses that are being generated most significantly from your efforts through fundraising and donation. So some of those are being set aside for future purposes, not necessarily specifically identified, but not for operational, for some items that may come up outside of operations. So the operating fund itself was maintaining a surplus of around 100,000. And after the addition of the current year surplus and the transfer of some historical and current surpluses, the operating fund is now sitting at an accumulated surplus of around 90,000. You now have approximately 20,000 set aside in the internally restricted fund. So the overall net asset or net accumulated surplus is around 110,000. The next schedule is the statement of financial position, which is essentially the balance sheet. This reports on the assets, those which are resources owned by the organization, and those liabilities, the amounts owed at its year-end time. The assets of the organization is made up of basically cash and the historical cost of the building. So the building in which the organization is operating out of. Liabilities, there is some amounts due, and they're all current. These represent amounts due for trade payables, be it to vendors or accruals for payroll purposes. There is a slight amount of deferred income that is funding that will be subsequently used. The total external liabilities are just around the 32,000. And of course, the net asset makes up the balance of the remainder. The cash flow statement merely reports on how cash is generated and used. So there isn't, because there's no financing or investing components, it merely is a measure of the amount of cash coming in and out of the bank. There is a decrease in the cash this year, but that's mainly as a result of the timing of the grants and when they are received in the bank. So you may receive portions of the grant before March 31st, 2021, but it's reflected in your income statement this year. So it really is just a matter of when does it hit the bank account. The notes to the financial statement describe, of course, the purpose of the organization. the accounting policies to which the numbers were arrived at. I am scrolling through these rather quickly. And there is some description of what's being held in terms of the cash and cash equivalents, and the breakdown of what, of course, is for operating and what has been set aside in these new internally restricted funds. I referenced the fact that your capital assets are mainly the building itself. The makeup, some description of what's included in that accounts payable and accruals. The deferred revenue, and again, this is timing of when the grants are received and when they are used. Areas of risk for the organization is basically if there weren't the continued funding coming in, the ability to of course, pay the bills and pay staff would be at risk, although that's obvious, it must be stated. And we are, of course, pointing out the fact that we did not prepare the prior year, just so for the reader's information. So that brings us to the end of the financial statements. And I'm just going to scroll it and put it back up on the income statement in case there's any questions. Usually it's specifically around anything in here.
Great, thanks, Heather. Are there any questions? Feel free to pop in the chat. Any questions about our financial reports? And if there aren't any questions, then I will make a movement to accept the financial report. And can we have a second? Thanks, Shelley. Okay, motion carried. And I would also just like to thank Liz McIntosh, our bookkeeper, as well as Brenda Parker for being vital members of the team as well as Heather and Jill. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
There's one other motion that I'd like to put forward that we continue to work with Heather Murphy to complete our year-end report for next year. Thank you, Max.
Was that a second from Maxine? I didn't see it in the chat, but oh, there's a second. Great, thank you very much. And Heather, thank you so much for your time. So we invite you, you're more than welcome to stay, or if you want to leave, you can leave. Thank you for your time tonight.
There we go. Thank you. Good night.
All right, so we will hop on over to the chair message. So I'll read my chair report. Another year has brought us closer together in the spirit of equality at the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center. This year, the board engaged in fundamentals of board governance training through the Department of Community Services. We also reviewed our board policy to strengthen our work addressing women's rights and services. We look forward to continuing this review into next year, along with the implementation of our strategic plan to improve on communication, programming, and evaluation at the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center. On behalf of the board, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our funders and to the businesses and community members who have provided grants and donations that make this work possible. Your ongoing support is greatly appreciated and helps the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center move towards positive change for women of Pictou County. This work would not be possible without your support. It has been a pleasure and an honor to serve on the board of directors. I would like to extend special thanks to our board members who are leaving us this year, Jill Grotto and Natasha Shiggis. Best wishes to you in your future endeavors. And it is also my last year serving as board chair. I would like to thank all board members and staff members, past and present, for the opportunity to work alongside you. I look forward to watching you continue your work in serving our community. Finally, I want to acknowledge the incredible work of our executive director and staff members. The work of the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center is a true testament of teamwork, dedication, and resiliency. It is a demonstration of what can be achieved when strong and passionate women come together in pursuit of social change, equality, and supporting the women of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. It's my turn to give the executive director message, and I'm just going to read it. If you can bear with me, it's been a truly remarkable year, and I attempted to highlight that as best as possible here. So the Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center offers support to women, girls, and survivors. Women working together for women, about women, leads to empowerment. Our team approach is collaborative, trauma-informed, and made possible because of community, teamwork, and funders. This year, we welcomed Melissa Fanning and Emily Fiander to our team, and we wished Bailey and Megan well on their new adventures. The Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center staff are here to support, listen, and provide resources. As a resource center, the reason for accessing services are vast and often layered. Our open door provides a safe, non-judgmental space to receive support services, navigate systems, and promotes early intervention. Our work includes direct services and promotes women's voices, rights, and equality. Women face barriers, and it is critical to raise awareness about women's rights and contributions. Our collective work and voices give hope for a gender equal future. The pandemic that we've all been experiencing, we have seen not affect people in the same way. Our experience is far from equal. Sexism, racism, classism are forms of discrimination impacting our society and economy. Now more than ever, women are especially vulnerable to the long-standing gender pay gaps. According to Stats Canada 2022, as of 2021, the gender wage gap is a range of 0.54 cents to 89 cents for every dollar men make. Racialized women, Indigenous women, and women living with disabilities experience the largest pay gaps. Just over 20% of women in Pictou County are low income. The wage gap is the key root cause of gendered and racialized poverty. Addressing this gap is critical to our social well-being and health. As we move towards recovery from the pandemic, we celebrate the key contributions of the care economy as the backbone to our recovery. We continue to see women working, caring both at home and in the workforce. For 50 years, feminists have called for affordable, accessible childcare. This year, the federal and provincial governments begin work towards improved access to affordable childcare. We spoke on this matter to Minister Sean Fraser and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Every dollar in childcare support will support our economy. Affordable childcare is essential to individual and community well-being. We are also active members of Pictou County Housing Coalition and its subcommittees, completing research about the housing crises here in Pictou County and advocating for a rural housing strategy. Housing is interdependent with other human rights, such as individual right to work, education, privacy, and safety. Lack of housing is associated with poor health outcomes. According to CMHC, our rental vacancy rate in 2020 was 2.4% here in Pictou County. The housing crisis contributes to a lack of safety for victims of gender-based violence. With few affordable and safe housing options, women stay longer in unsafe living conditions. Low vacancy rates and high rent prices have made it increasingly difficult for women to escape violence. As a result, women without safe housing face increased risks of violence, sexual assault, and exploitation. The first step to social change is awareness. Our housing report raises awareness about housing crises and the unique harms women face as a result of the gendered lens of poverty and harm. Together, we need to find solutions and increase supports to address these risks. Agencies like ours, government departments, and leaders are working to address the housing crises, and it cannot happen fast enough, especially for those without a safe place to call home. Housing, economic security, mental health, physical health, sexual violence, social connection, support services are some of the issues that bring women through our doors. COVID-19 exposes the inequality pandemic within the pandemic. Women are hurting due to a lack of equality. If we have inequality, we will have gender-based violence. The cost is too great not to change. Our future is not constrained by the past. It is built by what we do today. There is no time like the present to change. We can no longer accept returning to a world where sexism is normal. That norm is not an okay option. It is essential that we have women leaders raising these concerns and seeking better outcomes. This year, more women are ministers in our provincial government than any government before. I want to say some special thanks to Minister Carla McFarland for her heartfelt address on International Women's Day and beyond. We are humbled to collaborate with the women, providing services to 623 participants, involving 313 new people, offering over 2,300 services, including public education. Women's strength, wisdom, and resilience fills us with hope for our future. Working together is key. And special thanks to all of our staff, funders, and boards, past and present, for making it possible for our center to provide direct services and work towards social change every day. We couldn't do it without you, and we look forward to the year ahead, moving towards our future. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. And next, we're going to have a look at the nomination report. So Maxine, I think, is going to go through our nomination report with us.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, thanks to the nomination committee of myself and Natasha and Shelley for putting together this great roster of possible new, and they will be new, members to our board. I would like to put forward in nomination Megan Bragg, Kyla Brower, oops, my screen is partly blocked, Dawn Green, and Moira McDonald. And I want to thank them for coming forward. And so I'd like a motion to approve the nomination of these officers to our board.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so that Shelley is first. Am I allowed to second it?
Liz has seconded the motion, Michaela, as well as Natasha.
Super. So welcome to the board, our new officers, and I look forward to working with you in the next year.
And then Devin, if you could do the election of officers.
Yes, I can do that. So our nominations for our executive committee are Allison Avery. So Allison is nominated as our incoming treasurer. She is a current financial committee member, and with her experience, it will be an asset to this role. She is a practicing lawyer with Patterson Law and brings an inside perspective of Pictou County Women's Resource and Sexual Assault Center as a former employee and volunteer. Through her time with the center, she gained a strength and strengthened many skills in the financial systems, grant writing, advocacy, and event planning specific to needs of women in Pictou County. Allison's diligence, passion, and passion for center mandate is an asset in her new role. So did Allison join us? I know when we kicked off, she wasn't here, but I don't think she made it in.
No, Allison
No,
has
okay.
sent her regrets, but had previously accepted this in a board meeting.
Okay, excellent. So And then next we have Maxine Mann. So Maxine is nominated as our incoming chair. Maxine joined us in 2021, and she brings her experience in post-secondary education as principal at NSCC Pictou campus and in various dean roles at Fleming College in Ontario. She also brings her experience as the former clinical outpatients manager of NSHA and as a consultant and social worker. Her knowledge of human resources, management, and strategic and operational planning, as well as her reputation as an innovative thinker, having excellent critical thinking skills and expertise in communicating, planning, and prioritizing, is an asset to our board. So Allison has accepted previously. She's not with us tonight. And Maxine, do you accept your nomination?
Yes, I do.
So I will make a motion to accept Allison and Maxine in their respective roles. Can we have, if there aren't any opposed, can we have somebody second that motion?
I seconded the motion as well as Jocelyn.
Perfect. Thank you, Jill and Jocelyn. Motion carried. Great. So Maxine, welcome as our future chair of the board. And as we mentioned before, Jill and Natasha, as well as myself, will be completing our terms at the end of this meeting. So thank you to both of you. And special thanks to our new members, Megan Bragg, Kyla Brower, Dawn Green, and Moira McDonald. Thank you, everybody. So the nominations are now closed for this year. All right, so we are going to move to a reflection and celebration of our center's direct service and social change work. So we'll turn it over to the staff to take us through that.
Thanks, Devin. I'm actually going to talk about our programs that we have here at the Women's Center. So this year we had a total of 9 programs that we ran with 142 participants. And we offered in our recreational programs, we offered a walking group that takes place every Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. This is a group that is near and dear to my heart because I facilitate it. We've gotten up to 10 participants on this group, and we like to walk on local trails. You can see some of the posters to the side there. We've done the Sampson Trail, also the Jitney Trail in Pictou, and weather permitting, we are out there every Friday. And of course, everyone is welcome to join us. We also did community gardening, and this was a really great opportunity to put some love and care into growing some fresh vegetables. We had funding for 2 plots in the New Glasgow Community Garden, and we were able to produce fresh food for 4 women out of that garden. We also offered yoga in the park, and this was facilitated by our talented Anna Galvin, and was offered and it's had an enormous success with women participating over their lunch break during the sunny summer days. And yoga reminds us to be present. It helps reduce stress and improves our overall health. And there's a full range of choices made during these sessions, so it's great for beginners as well. And we also offered a feminist book club. We covered these 2 books that you can see on the side, Whipping Girl and also My Grandmother's Hands. Our feminist book club explored these 2 books, and they each speak to trauma awareness and healing. And through these books, we had an opportunity to partner with Joy Polly and Alicia Paris, whose insights and guidance helped us on our journeys. Mapping our road to power and healing is what MORPH stands for, and I am the MORPH support worker here at the Pictou County Women's Resource Center. Throughout the pandemic, we found new and innovative ways to connect with survivors on the phone, text, Facebook Messenger, email, Zoom, or masked and socially distanced. We really work to remove barriers that would prevent people from receiving our services. Part of the programming for MORPH is to offer support groups, and we believe that group work is an important element in the services that we provide. Group work offers a unique opportunity for us to learn and grow through shared experiences, and the United Way of Pictou County provided funding for our group facilitation. In summary, MORPH services offered through our center are facilitated through our funding partners. This year, funding provided by the Canadian Women's Foundation made it possible for our team to have training in trauma and support. And 3 members of our team completed the Trauma and Support Certificate Program with the Crisis Response Training Institute. And this training is vital to our ongoing learning and our service delivery. This year, as part of the MORPH program and the women's, as part of the MORPH program, we completed 30 group sessions involving 23 participants. And the groups are co-facilitated by MORPH counselors Janice Fraser and Anna Galvin and myself, Melissa Fanning. And the sessions include, the groups that we facilitated include first stage mindfulness and yoga, second stage survivor program, ally program for supporters of survivors, healthy relationships and boundary program for sexually exploited youth. And both the ally program and the healthy relationships program were offered exclusively on the Zoom platform. So this year, we offered some specific programs, but of course we have a large variety of programs within MORPH, and all these programs are adaptable to meet the needs of participants. And so we welcome and continually develop new materials as we learn and grow. So the full list of our programs is here. We offer creative healing for youth survivors of sexual trauma, mindful process recovery group for sexual trauma, moving forward, reconnecting and reintegrating, skill building support group for adult women survivors of sexual trauma, using mindfulness to cope for male survivors, using mindfulness to cope for survivors of sexual abuse. And we also have public education programs, including sexual exploitation, human trafficking, skill building program for supporters of survivors of sexual violence, Finding Me, which is a school-based program, and the ins and outs of consent. And I'll pass it over to Emily.
Melissa? There we go. So we did a couple school-based programs. One of them Melissa just mentioned was Finding Me. Finding Me is our school-based program offered to grade 7 girls. It's an 8-week program that allows girls a safe space to learn, grow, and inquire about topics connected to wellness, relationships, and sexual violence prevention. These sessions paused due to health restrictions, but by the end of the year, 47 participants, 6 classes from 2 schools located in Thorburn and New Glasgow will complete Finding Me. At the same time, New Leaf facilitated a Changing Male Conversations program covering the same topics for grade 7 boys. We also were able to, we also were able to collaborate with the schools in regards to International Day of the Girl. We collaborated with New Glasgow Academy, Trenton, Pictou Landing First Nations, and Thorburn to distribute 80 books entitled Because I'm a Girl. And the students were encouraged to write a reflection of their choosing. And depicted here, we have one of the reflections shared with us by Riley Dean, who was a grade 7 student at New Glasgow Academy. So we were also able to hold girls empowerment camps. This year, we were able to hold our girls' summer camps in person, serving 3 communities, including New Glasgow, Pictou, and Pictou Landing First Nations. There was a total of 31 girls participating in the camps. These camps give girls a chance to socialize and have fun while learning about self-esteem and empowerment. Healthy snacks and lunch were provided through funding from food security grants provided by United Way, Pictou County. So our services are women-centered and trauma-informed. Trauma-informed is a woman-centered approach, recognizing the impacts of trauma on individuals. The total participants that we had the privilege of serving this last year were 623. We provided 2,373 services, offered 9 programs, and our services included advocacy, information and referrals, partnerships and collaborations, programs, public education, support counseling, and system navigation. The reasons women reach out vary. Their experiences are unique to them. Regardless of their needs and goals, we are here to support. So the pie chart to the side is a visual representation of the types of challenges we support women with. So depicted here, we have some feedback that we received from community members and clients alike. So this is what women had to say about our organization or community members who were involved with us. Very understanding, no judgment at all. I don't know what my life would have been like without the Sisterhood of the Women's Center. I love this place and all of you lovely ladies. My life is so much richer for you. Thanks. Sporting my denims today to combat victim blaming and showing support for those who have experienced sexual violence. Thanks to Morph for the graphic and history on Denim Day. And it's been an inspiring day celebrating. I will now turn it over to Shelley.
All right, so this is the Women's Centers Connect, which is our provincial association of 9 women's centers across Nova Scotia. And with the leadership of Cora Cole, we've been able to develop a data dictionary that will allow us to guide our statistical reports together as we enter into a new statistical service through HIFIS. It's an online statistical program that will capture our work anonymously in terms of the details of people. For myself, in terms of my role, I'm a member of Connect, as well as we serve as the Connect treasurer. Liz serves as their bookkeeper, and I sit on their personnel committee. In the fall, we had an opportunity to meet in person and to begin some work around strategic planning to help guide our collaborative work moving forward. And we will be posting their annual general meeting report on our website, along with our annual general report for the Pictou County Women's Center in the next 24 hours. I want to move on. And so part of what we do here at the center is direct service, and we also work towards social change, towards building equity and equality and empowerment through both our direct service and community engagement with all of our partners, looking to address gaps in service and create the conditions in which social change will occur. As an organization, we have participated in 9 formal collaborative partnerships, 4 of them being provincial, and have attended 341 meetings ranging from an hour to a full day over the course of the year. So we have here some of the local committees in which we are a part of. The Aging Well Coalition focuses around seniors. We have an executive director roundtable in Pictou County to help support our work and collaborations together. Mental health roundtable had an ad hoc committee. We sit on the local chapter of Silent Witness Nova Scotia. We're an active member of the Housing Coalition and Interagency on Family Violence. We sit with Pictou County Partners, which focuses around youth, and are key members of the Sexual Assault Response Team in Pictou County. We're a member of the Pictou County Social Workers, as well as participated in 2 ad hoc committees, one around sexual health and one around mental health in the workplace. And provincially, we had an opportunity to work with Connect, as well as the Community Society to End Poverty, and TESS, an organization that collaborates and brings people together who are working with sexually exploited youth and those people who are commercially trafficked. And I had an opportunity to support interagency, intergovernment committee department to work on updating some online domestic violence training that will actually be launched in the fall. So that gives you an idea of some of the scope of involvement and tables that we sit at. And we want to move on. Over the last year, we haven't had an opportunity during the timing of our celebrations for us to come together. So we had a virtual Women's Day celebration in March 8th of 2022. And we're looking forward to, in October, Take Back the Night to an in-person event. So stay tuned and follow us on Facebook, etc., to see that. And we've shared here QR codes to our shanty, as well as the Strong Women song that we created on our 45th anniversary. You want to move along. And so during this period of time in which at different points for public health safety, we've had to do things differently, our social media has seemed even more important to us as a way to open our door and to include people and to reach out to people and talk about things that are important to us. Over the course of the last year, our likes with Facebook and our followers have continued to increase. Our posts occur daily and reach thousands of people, with our largest post reaching, I believe, 7,000 people. You see our addresses there, and encourage you, if you're interested in finding out, what's happening next, to kind of engage with us through social media. And certainly feel free to drop in at 503 South Frederick Street. Shoot us a text, give us a call. We're here to support you in any way that we can. And over the course of the year, in terms of in the news, there's a few articles that Melissa's highlighted for us here in terms of our walking group and sexual violence in the Me Too movement. As a part of Connect offers a monthly newsletter. So there's an example here. And if you're interested in receiving that, we often post it on our social media. We can certainly help support you in getting signed up onto that list if you're interested. Thank you, Melissa, for this. You want to move on to the next slide? And so this is where we are at 503 South Frederick Street. You'll see our lavender door, the symbol of our logo together. And once inside, you'll meet some of our staff team. And we have everyone listed here who had the pleasure of working with in the last year. And I really do want to give Megan and Bailey a shout out who have moved on to work within the Schools Plus system in the last year. It was a pleasure working with them, and we wish them well in their new endeavors. And a tremendous shout out to our team. We certainly couldn't do it without everyone who does the services that we do here. We're incredibly grateful for everyone who does the work together. So thank you. And the last slide is our current board of directors, and just need to give Devin a little bit of a shout out. Devin joined us 6 years ago through Slut the Play, which is a social justice play that we offered, and she participated in 6 performances, offering 4 roles, along with 1 role in Vagina Monologue, and then bravely took on not only being a board member, but being our treasurer, being our vice chair, and being our chair. So thank you so much, Devin, for all that you've given over the last 6 years to us as a center, and we're incredibly grateful for that. And Jill has been with us for the last term, and under her leadership, we've been able to achieve some important investment into our future in terms of capital renovations and improvements that are necessary for us at a center. So thank you for helping strengthen our financial standing, and thank you, Natasha, for your wisdom around policy and insurance as you prepare to move on to your next endeavor. So I'm very grateful for your presence and the presence of everyone who sat on policy and event and financial committee and executive committee planning. We need you in your governance, and we're grateful for all of the energy that you've shared with us. And now I will move on to the business arising and just speak to our public education before I turn it back over to Devin. So over the course of the last year, we've continued to invest in public education. We had a special grant that allowed us to do a little bit more of internal training, and we are very grateful for that opportunity to strengthen our work and to help us in the things that we do. In the last year, we've been able to offer workshops around human trafficking, around our housing crises, around mental health, specifically trauma-informed supervision, sessions around sexual violence and the programming that we offer, as well as skill development and system navigation and support services to help other members of our community and our team. And we're happy to have been invited to do those things. As a team, in terms of our internal training, there is a list of some of the things that we've done. 3 of our members have been able to complete the Crisis Response Training Institute training in trauma and support, and other training is in work for the remaining of our team to complete that. We've done a lot of work with the former Community Support Network, now called Impact Organizations Nova Scotia. Had opportunity to do sessions around leadership, diversity, sexual exploitation, and system mapping, and governance, and understanding the quality of life here in Pictou County. We're very grateful for everyone who has shared their talents with us and trusted us as they've walked in through the door over the last year. So thank you for the opportunity to highlight some of our work in the last year, and we hope to continue to work with you in the year forward. I'll pass it over to Devin.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Melissa and Emily, as well for that presentation. And thanks, Shelley, for those kind words. Really, for Business Arising, I think all that's left is our next regular board meeting. So we do take a short break for the summer. So our next meeting is on Tuesday, September 27th at 6 p.m. So that location will be announced closer to that time. Whether you're gonna do virtual or hybrid or in person, that will remain to be seen, and I'll leave that in the capable hands of the new board. So if there are any questions, now is the time. Any final questions or comments? And Shelley has made a motion to accept our AGM. Thank you. Can we have a second for that motion? Thank you. I see a second from Jocelyn. So that is moved for the exception of the 46th AGM report. So thank you very much. One final thank you to everybody who attended and participated. Thanks to our staff, board, community members, funders, and donors for your time tonight and for your support all year. So with that, together we are moving towards gender equality. So thank you everybody for your time, and meeting adjourned.